Welcome back to the PI show. Before the break, we were discussing the case of the prisoner in New South Wales who got $250,000 in damages as a result of him being stabbed in prison by another inmate. And you're saying he sued the prison authorities. He didn't sue the person who stabbed him.
No, well, what's he going to sue, Harry? I mean,
What?
The person that stabbed him probably hasn't got a cent to his name.
Okay, so he sued the prison, and the courts held the prison was liable.
Yep, there was a lot of
Isn't
glaring...
that unusual?
No, it's not. There was a lot of glaring... The judge found a lot of inadequacies in the way they ran this particular block.
I think the other one issue was, how did a prisoner get a knife into the prison?
Well, that's right. After the incident, they introduced metal detectors.
There's an issue about metal detectors.
That's number one.
Yep.
They had put in CCTV.
But would that have
cameras.
stopped? Would that have stopped someone?
Yeah, it does. Because
is that a deterrence?
It is a deterrent because you're going to be caught on camera. I mean,
so
even if they don't see you.
So they're in prison. What do they care?
Yeah, they're in prison for who knows, say 5 years, and they end up getting charged with attempted murder. They might add another 5 to 10 years to their sentence. It could be more.
Okay.
They do care.
So, in this case, he succeeded. How does the judge come up with $250,000?
Well, what he's done is he's given him money for pain and suffering. I don't think he gave him much in this case. It could have been about $88,000, $90,000. And the difference, and the majority would have been for future loss of income. Probably a partial loss. He was a concreter.
He was a concreter?
Yeah, in between his spending time in prison.
Doing other things. Yeah. He was in for drugs.
Yeah.
He was in for drugs.
Yeah.
So, and nasty injury? What sort of injury?
Stab in the neck, I mean, it is nasty. He could have cut a carotid artery, he could have done anything.
So he got something for pain and suffering and something for future loss?
Future loss of income. There would have been something there for future medical treatment, you'd think.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. And so,
I can't tell from whether this bloke would go back to work, but you'd think that there'd be big discounts by the judge, depending on what his past criminal activities were. If this fellow didn't have a...
He didn't have a great work history.
If he didn't have a great work history, that would go... The judge might deduct 30, 40, 50% from prospective future loss of income.
But, okay, so he ended up getting about $250, went to appeal. The judges dismissed the appeal.
Yeah, they dismissed it because they said that the court downstairs in the first instance got it right, that there was negligence on the part of the prison authorities.
Okay.
I think it was a fair decision, based on all the findings of the judge in the first instance.
So prisoners can sue the prison authorities?
Well, Harry, they're human beings. They make mistakes and it varies. It's a sliding scale. You've got the ones that are murderers and you've got the ones that are petty crims. I mean,
in prison?
Yeah.
But the prison's supposed to provide, I suppose, a safe environment for prisoners as best they can.
The law in this area talks about a reasonable duty of care.
But in a prison, it's pretty extraordinary to try and protect people.
Glaring inadequacies in the system in this case.
He got up.
Yeah.
He got up.
Well, I mean, the judge listed something like 10 points of breach.
Of what they could have done to stop that.
And there were significant changes introduced after the assault.
All right, so in that case, he proved negligence. The next case we've got is a sad case, in my opinion, because it was a person, WA. He worked for a tool company who made tools and compressors. He had a grinder connected to an air compressor. The hose became disconnected from the grinder.
Struck him in the face.
Struck him in the face. He fell over, hurt his back, and he sued his employer for an unsafe system of work. And you'd think the hose just coming, for no good reason, coming off a grinder, had a lot of air pressure in it, you'd think he would have got up. And
yeah, look, I think it was
what happened? I mean, he got up before the judge who heard it.
Yeah, he won in the first instance before the judge that heard the case, but...
And how much did he get?
I can't remember what the figure was, but it was probably 170,000, could be a bit more than that.
Yeah.
But the thing about this fellow is that no one could give evidence about why it came away from the grinder, the hose.
So what?
They tried to apply an old doctrine called res ipsa loquitur. I use that around the office a bit. But what it means is what it says it goes without saying. That's what the Latin translation is.
It goes without saying.
It goes without saying. It's come away, so the employer's negligent. That's what the doctrine means.
That's what you would have argued.
I don't think I would have argued that. I would have gone back to the principles of, what employers have got to do. The employers have got to make sure that there's a safe work environment. I would have looked at issues of maintenance in this case.
But
what have they done to maintain it?
But the hose just came off the grinder and it hit him in the face.
Well, I mean, the sad thing about this case is there was no proper explanation, or there was no explanation as to why it come apart. So in those circumstances, I think you've got to go back to how it was initially installed. But it's been around for years. Then you've got to look at maintenance and checkups and inspections.
But no one can, in fairness, no one can demonstrate really what happened, and the plaintiff lost. Oh, sorry, he got up before a single judge. The insurer appealed, and the Court of Appeal said the defendant should get up because they couldn't, as you say, he couldn't prove
what happened,
whether the employer was negligent, and he couldn't get a proper explanation. And then the High Court
upheld the decision.
So you got zero.
You got zero. I think what happened here was that they didn't go into the maintenance issue. Look, you would have had to argue failure to maintain, inspect, those sorts of things. I think they didn't want to take that path, and there was a lot of commentary about that in the High Court, because he was a foreman, and also...
So he might have been to blame.
Well, he would have had some part to play in the maintenance and inspection of the equipment, you'd think. But in any event, even if he's not the employer, he's one of the employees, and maybe there was a large amount that could have come off for contributory negligence. But I think the employer should have been negligent in the first instance.
So you agree with the judge in the first instance?
Yeah, I agree with the judge.
The sort of judge sort of got it right.
Yeah. I think his lawyers got a bit too cute, or they tried to,
And so...
Mind you, I think it was a case of res ipsa loquitur anyway. Come away, bang. No explanation as to why.
It's a matter of common sense that these things don't happen without some fault.
Yeah.
And that's what...
There was somewhere along the line, someone failed to connect it properly, or someone failed to ensure that it was safe, or someone failed to inspect it and maintain it. There's got to be somewhere along the lines, something like that occurred.
Okay, so occasionally the High Court gets it wrong.
I think the fair finding would have been knock it off by 50%, maybe. Who knows?
That's all we've got time for in this part of the show. We'll be back after the break. Listen to these messages.